I'm here with Chris Beachum, and we are now going to have a chat about supporting actor. The state of the race seems to be, Chris, that we have a few front runners. Everyone seems to be trailing Christian Bale at the moment from The Fighter. He hasn't been nominated for anything in the past. He is perhaps maybe not the most popular of celebrities amongst his peers, but yet he's getting the best reviews of his life, and he's a probable front runner for the Oscar next year. But what do you think, Chris? Who else is currently in the race who hasn't really made an impact with the main critics groups and awards groups so far?
Well, let me start off by saying Christian Bale, Goeffrey Rush, and even Jeremy Renner, they've all gotten nominated at everything possible this past week, from broadcast film critics to Golden Globes to SAG Awards. I think those three are pretty safe myself. When you get beyond those names, there are certainly some people that are getting nominated here and there. I think it's down to about 9 people in this race that you can legitimately say. Beyond those 3, 6 other people. I would say Andrew Garfield in The Social Network. He's gotten some 2 out of the 3 that he could have gotten in this week. I think he's getting closer to being safe. Mark Ruffalo is in a movie every single voter is watching, and the kids are all right. Sam Rockwell's an interesting one. The only thing he's gotten really is the Broadcast Film Critics nomination, where they have 6 slots, by the way. I don't know. Do you think he has a real good chance?
Look, unfortunately, I think they're going to overlook Sam Rockwell again, unless he can do a Michael Shannon and just come out of nowhere. But Conviction is not going to be probably as well received as Revolutionary Road perhaps was back in the day a couple of years ago. And Sam Rockwell, I don't know what he has to do to receive the credit that he deserves. He is one of the finest actors at the moment, and he's not getting any respect, and it's a real shame. But so my answer to that is no. I don't think he's going to cut it in this really competitive category. You say there's about 9 people in play. That's probably about right. And then you've got, surprises like John Hawkes, who, a lot of people have talked about him over the last couple of weeks, but it's all been a bit of a pipe dream until SAG came out and said, no, we think that you are one of the 5 best supporting actors, and that has just propelled him right up there now. Winter's Bone has obviously been really well received, but mostly it's been for Jennifer Lawrence, and now we have John Hawkes in play. That's really exciting.
Well, he is the very definition of a person that gets dragged along into a nomination. I've seen this happen practically every year with somebody where voters are at home, they pop in a DVD or in the past a videotape, they pop it in to watch Jennifer Lawrence in this particular case, and then they get mesmerized by somebody else and that person gets a supporting nomination. And I think John Hawkes getting a SAG nomination is a big plus for him.
Absolutely. It's really, really a credit to him, and I'm very happy for him. I've been a fan of his for a long time. He's been a pretty good TV actor as well, and so that's pretty cool. I'm very happy as well for Mark Ruffalo. It's about time that he made an impact with awards groups. He hasn't really been that prevalent until now. He's done some great work, and I think he's pretty much assured a nomination as well. I'm actually really quite confident about Mark Ruffalo. I think voters are going to react quite positively to The Kids Are All Right, and it's going to get a few nominations in the acting and probably screenplay and even Best Picture categories. It's doing quite well, so I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for Goeffrey Rush. I think he would probably have been the front runner had he not already won an Oscar and had there not been the Christian Bale factor. What do you think about that?
Had he not ever won, I think he would be the front runner right now. Not to say that people can't win too, obviously they have. But in a year where I think people are enjoying Christian Bale at least as much as Goeffrey Rush, maybe more in some cases, I think that's going to hurt Goeffrey Rush. They're both British and Australian, meaning that they'll come out of that BAFTA, probably both. BAFTA may be very telling on that particular race. If Goeffrey Rush skips over Christian Bale and actually wins the BAFTA, maybe we do have a 2-horse race here. If Christian Bale wins that one, though, I think he's going to be pretty safe. If you were asking me right now, I think he's going to win the Oscar.
Yeah, I think you're right. If there's anyone else that I thought would have had a shot, it would have been Andrew Garfield until Thursday when he was overlooked by the Screen Actors Guild. Unfortunately for him, perhaps maybe there might have been a bit of a vote split, although I hate that theory, but I can't really see why he was overlooked, given The Social Network is such a popular movie. You know, it's pretty much won across the board, and yet he wasn't able to squeeze through. But I think more telling for that film is something that you and I have talked about in the past, and that's Justin Timberlake. And he hasn't made an impact at all, anywhere really. And a lot of people were talking that he might have had a shot. Now, what's that all about? Is that just a bias against pop stars, or is that just because his performance perhaps wasn't as good as a lot of people were saying it was? I mean, not even the Globes thought it was good enough to honour.
It's a really good question. I thought weeks and weeks ago that he might actually get a nomination. They have not shied away from pop stars and major celebrities and comedians and other people like that getting nominated at the Oscars. There have been quite a few. Some even winning. Jennifer Hudson won. Frank Sinatra won many years ago. Cher won. Of course, by then, Cher was considered a legitimate actress at that point. But I think the biggest telling sign, the fact that Timberlake will not get an Oscar nomination, is he didn't get in at the Globes. It's one thing to get in a Critics Award or SAG Award where he's not, known as an actor. But the Globes love stars. And if they didn't nominate Justin Timberlake, then I can't imagine the Oscars will.
No. Such a shame, he's a 2-time Emmy winner. His last Emmy win was for a really, really fantastic acting comedic performance. And so he's not a ring-in. It's like he's never acted before. And yet they're just not going for that. So I think he's out. I really do. I just think he's not even part of the discussion, unfortunately, for him.
But I will say, on his behalf, that he has positioned himself perfectly for a film career. He's taken some small roles. He's now in a picture that very well could win Best Picture at the Oscars. The plate, everything should be on his plate at this point, from scripts coming in, directors wanting to work with him. I would not be surprised at all in the next 3, 4, 5 years if he doesn't get an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make, Chris. So that means then at this stage, the only other person that comes to mind and is Michael Douglas in Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. And I only bring him up because, I don't want to be too cynical here. A lot of people are going to say that he was honoured by the Globes because he is a big name, and obviously because of his health problems. Is that the only reason why he has a chance, because of his health problems? I haven't seen the film. Is he award-worthy? Have you seen it? I don't know.
I have not seen it. Now, getting the Globe nomination, I was one of the few that predicted that he would, and he did. Again, that goes back to the star power and the fact that he's been, nominated so many times there at the Globes. And he's a child of Hollywood, so that always helps at the Globes. I think he's got a slim shot based on the reasons you just said. Anybody that says otherwise, that it doesn't have something to do with all the medical problems from this year and so forth, would be pretty naive. He's one of the few people this year that's really got that Hollywood pedigree that voters at home, actors especially, let's say they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, might just mark him down, I wouldn't say he's totally out of the running. Another name that we haven't mentioned, we know they'll be watching the screeners. He's a multi-nominee. He's one for writing, is Matt Damon. Don't be shocked if he doesn't get a acting nomination out of this for True Grit.
What happened with him? Before all the main awards groups came out with their choices, I had him in my list. I thought he was going to be nominated for sure, just on talk. I obviously haven't seen True Grit yet, and a lot of people hadn't seen True Grit until a week or two ago. I thought he was going to be pretty much a shorter nomination, given that he got nominated last year for Invictus for really not doing that much at all. He is a very popular guy. He's very well respected. Nowhere to be seen. Very surprising.
Always beware of movies that release at the very last second in these award cycles when you're doing your Oscar picks, because it might have just well been that by the time, the broadcast film critics and then the Globe voters, SAG voters especially, because that's a large group of people, by the time they saw the movie, they may have been so set in their minds on who they were going to nominate, possibly even already filled out their ballot, at least, sitting there in front of them, that he just didn't really have a real shot at it. So I just say his name. I don't think he's going to get nominated, but I just want to bring up his name to say I think that's about your 9 people that have a legitimate shot here.